Okay, so let's get started. So this is the fourth video actually for this particular week, and since this week and the previous week we were talking about the big picture environmental problems, causes, and sustainability. So this will be kind of, this would be the, I think this would be the last video. This would be the ninth video if you compare the 5 we did in the previous week and 4 this week. So that kind of covers the big picture of the first topic of this particular course. So we'll continue from where we left in the previous, where we were talking about certain policy which is driving the sustainability today. We have this Energy Star program, we have this Green Seal program, recycling programs across the world. We also have this Green Buildings program. So there are a lot of initiative that is taken by different governments around the world, different organizations around the world in terms of how to improve the sustainability performance of different products, processes, and systems. So there are some regulatory mechanisms and there are some voluntary programs as well. Regulatory mechanisms examples includes like extended producer responsibility. That means that if I am producing the waste, it's my responsibility to get it managed. And then banning certain things like banning of DDT, for example, we looked at as part of the Rachel Carson's Silent Spring from that movement. And then in recent times you have heard about banning of plastics and all. So those are some of these regulations. There are a lot of other banning stuff as well out there. There are certain voluntary programs are also there in terms of eco-labeling, trying to look for products which are greener, and also preferential purchasing, which is again where you are as a consumer you go and try to find things which is more greener in there. So ultimately the goal is to have a sustainable society. That's what this more goal is that. So we have in terms of sustainable societies, when we say sustainable, we have environmental aspect, we have social aspect, and we have the economic aspect. So from environmental aspect, the goal is to have net zero emissions, so that we have net zero waste, and these are all goals, isn't it? These are goals. We have to achieve these goals, and it's not that when we say net zero emissions means we want because the technology is not evolved enough today that we can have zero waste. But our goal is to move towards zero waste. Let's at least bring it to 1 digit and then gradually move towards the zero. That's how things improve, because and then social means ensure the well-being of the society. Economics move the transition to circular economy, which will again help in both social and environmental aspect too. And we talked about circular economy already. So these are the things which are which will lead to development of sustainable society, and that's what ultimately our goal is. So sustainable society is your low carbon society, it's your sustainable cities and transport. You have sustainable technology, sustainable transitions. So as you can move from place, as you on the left you see that all the dryness, and then some of the like partly green, partly dry, partly nice and clean atmosphere, and then partly lot of pollutions and other stuff as well, to move to more like a more livable area. So this is kind of more livable area where we have where people can be like clean water, clean air, clean soil, good recreation, lot of renewable energy, and all those different facilities that we would like to enjoy. So that would be a sustainable society. So in 2016, this Sustainable Development Goals, they came, that they replaced those MDGs. Remember that Millennium Development Goals we talked about, and so that was replaced by the Sustainable Development Goals. And we'll talk about the Sustainable Development Goals in a minute, and they were based on these 3 dimensions of sustainability: social, economic, and environment. We already talked about that in quite detail. So here the social aspect as well as economic and environmental, partnership, peace. So all those things were taken into consideration in this Sustainable Development Goal. You can find the more details in those UN documents out there. So that's how they kind of got converted to this people, planet, prosperity, partnership, and peace. So now from 3 P's we are now 5 P's of sustainable development. So look at the poor people, and poverty and hunger in all forms, and gender equality, prosperity, ensure prosperous and fulfilling life in harmony, peace, foster peaceful, because without peace you cannot achieve anything. So that's one of having like peaceful environment is kind of basic ingredient for any development. If we have too much conflict going on, it's very difficult to find people to invest there. So you need to have really harmony among the different sections of people, and that's really helps in sustainable development. Partnership, implement the agenda through a global solid partnership, protect our planet through natural resource and climate for future generations, and of course the people is very, very important. So taking these 5 P's principle, this sustainable development goal came out. This is the SDGs, the global, and we'll talk about the global and Indian status of the SDGs. So thing was that number 1 goal is end poverty for all in its forms everywhere. So in India right now, 27.5% of the population is multidimensionally poor. So 1 in every 4 person in India is poor. So we have to 42% of the people in India have access to internet. So see, during this global pandemic, we all are having this online classes from elementary school to middle school to high school to colleges, universities, and all that. Now, if you look at this in terms of access to internet to only 42%, and even then some news articles were suggesting that this is actually there is access to internet and there is access to quality internet for having able to do these online classes. That was only around 18 to 20%. So we have to we have issues associated with that. So how we can that's a big issue, especially during this pandemic. So 38.4% of the children of 5 years are stunned, having health issues. For 15% households are headed by women. 89% have a bank or post office account. 75% people are literate, but 42 million households do not have a literate adult above 25 years of age. So 36% of the people of 5 years are underweight. So all these things we need to fix. The world was off track to end poverty by 2030. So we have to bring it down, but by 2030 we think that only 6% will bring it down to 6%. We have to bring it down to much more. So because if the goal is no poverty by Millennium Development Goals, the SDGs that we have, which we want to achieve by 2030. Now, end hunger and achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. So it's a zero hunger. So food insecurities was already on the rise. Population affected actually went up from 22.4% to 26% globally. In India, 43% over 3 in 10 stunted children. 3 in 10 stunted children in the world is Indian, 30%. And over 80% of the infant and young children do not get minimum dietary diversity. 53% of women between 15 and 50 years are anemic. So 40% of the total Indian workforce is in agricultural sector, and in terms of if the global food prices double, India could lose up to 49 million in GDP. So we are still a lot of work has to be done. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. So again, good health, progress in many health areas continued but needs acceleration. So again, 2.1 million adult above 15 lived with in HIV, 42% are women. Material mortality rate has declined from 212 to 167. 1/4 of TB, like tuberculosis cases, occurs in India. So that's again problem. 26 million children under 5 years are we lose those children. 80% deliveries are done by skilled healthcare providers now. So that's really a good part. So again, when we in the class we'll talk about these in more detail. I'm just very quickly now I'll show you all these different goals, because we have 30 of those different 30 stuff. Now, ensure inclusivity, equitable quality education, and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. We have our 100% of enrollment of girls in primary education, but only 100% enrollment, because we have that national education guarantee scheme, but only 26%, 25.4% in a higher education. So 75% of the children is, especially the girl child, is not coming to higher education. Largest youth population in the world, that is positive, and those as 26% is only the gross enrollment in higher education, and 55% of people with disability are literate, which is a good part. 74% adults are literate, and 68% in the rural area, 69%. 34% of the children with special needs are out of school. They are not able to come to school. So, education again, education is too slow. Over 2 million children will still be out of school by 2030 globally. So, this is on this side we are talking about the global, and this diagram here talks about the India in each of these goal. So, those numbers are there. Gender equality, despite improvement, still remains unreached. Fewer girls are forced to early marriage, which is good, and more movements are showing up in leadership role, which is again good. Again, we saw that women are not enrolled in higher education, and we have this ratio is from 1000 boys, we have only 919 girls. So, that is also it's an issue over there. Cleaner water and sanitation, we have ensure availability of sustainable management of water and sanitation. So, 2.2 billion people lack safe managed drinking water in 2017, and in 4.2 billion people lack safely managed sanitation. So, in the world, nearly 500 million people affected by drought in India. 20% of the population lives in a state which are not yet declared open defecation free. 1 out of 5 children due to severe diarrhea are in India. Each year 102,000 children die due to severe diarrhea. So, we are worried about the death from COVID, but each year this many people also die from diarrhea too. That does not make news, unfortunately. So, that is and if you look at in terms of since I work in wastewater and solid waste like waste management area, nearly one third of the Indian sewage gets treated. 2/3 of the Indian sewage just goes untreated. Whatever you flush down the toilet just goes untreated. So, we have to fix those issues. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. Again, 780 million people lack electricity. So, we do have some ambitious target. Power cables have reached to each village, but it's 31 million houses still lack access to electricity. Each village has electricity, but each houses does not have electricity. 100% villages electrified as per the government record. Nearly 85% people have access to electricity right now, which is good. And promote sustained, inclusive, sustainable economic growth. We have decent work and economic growth. Here also global economic growth was slowing down, 2% GDP per capita, now it has gone to 1.5%, and because unfortunately because of this COVID, this number will again go down, and that will create a lot of problem. More than 10 million children are employed in some form of labor, so child labor is still there. 6.9% is the unemployment rate. This was pre-COVID. Now with COVID, things have actually gone bad a little bit. So we'll see those numbers probably next year. Industry, renovation and infrastructure, the 9th one, manufacturing growth was declining due to tariffs and trade tensions. Here also 566, we have 1.8 metric ton, one of the lowest per capita CO2 emissions in the world, which is good. 111 million people employed in micro, small and medium enterprise. 33% of the manufacturing input coming from there. GDP growth was in 2018-2019 was average 7.2%. So we are doing slightly better. We did had some frugal invention in terms of Mangalyaan is one of the least costly. Reduced inequalities within and among countries. So income inequality was actually falling. So out of 38 out of 84 countries, we saw the income inequality was going down. So here you see that 28% is poor, 84% of lower class household. Rural India has their highest earning member earning less than rupees 5,000 per month. So we do have issues of inequality among within the country as well. So makes sustainable cities, share of urban population living in slums rose to 24%. So that's again we have to bring it down. 30% of urban households don't have sanitary toilets. 62 million tons per annum of waste generated in cities. Over 1.2 million pollution related deaths in 2017. So that's and probably we'll have less death from COVID than what we get pollution related death in a year. So we have to think about those issues as well. So, ensure sustainable consumption and production pattern. The world continues to use natural resources unsustainably. So, our footprint is going up, global material footprint is going up. So, that needs to be brought down, and take urgent action to combat climate change. From global community, size away from commitment required to reverse climate crisis. 2019 was actually the second warmest year in the world record. Global temperature projected to rise up to 30.2 degrees centigrade by 2100, and if you remember, we talked about that, we have to keep it below 2 degrees centigrade. So, but it's suppose if you don't do anything, it will be 3.2 degrees centigrade. So, the things associated with that has to be looked into. Life below water, we have to look at the oceans and our sea, CO2 emissions, pH, acidity level going up, plastic into the ocean as well in terms of marine life. Your life on land, world is falling short by 2020 targets to halt biodiversity loss. Over 31,000 species are threatened with extinction, which is 27% over 116,000 species, assessed species in the red list, which was prepared a few years back. So, we are again in India also, we have certain flora and fauna species threatened there as well. Peace, justice and strong institutions. Every day 100 civilians are killed in armed conflict despite protection under international law. Human trafficking in India, cases registered under the Arms Act 53,000, 200,000 refugees get asylum and direct assistance, 338,000 cases crime against women reported every year. So, and then this biggest issue of nearly 31 million cases pending in the court, where and many times the people are there in jail without any trial. So, partnership for the goal, it's the strength, the mean of implementation, revitalize global partnership for sustainable development. So, this is another one. Sufficiency, proficiency, this is like economic knowledge, virtues. You can look at they have equality foundations, you have management principles, you also look at the progress with balance towards sustainable well-being. So, that is what we have to look at in terms of try to achieve this sustainable development goal in terms of economics, environmental, social, cultural, and with having a proper management principle associated with that. So, Indian strategies has been, we have established a monitoring system at the national state level. There is a reporting system as well. There is a state and district level, rural capacity development, functioning knowledge hub, SDG baseline, keeping 2016 as a baseline. We are trying to do stuff associated with those as well. So, that's kind of gives you a big picture of different things that we have been trying to do in terms of this particular course. So, this set of 9 videos is kind of gives you the big picture that from first to this 9th one, it kind of gives you the big picture of the different things that we are going to talk in this class over this semester. So, again thank you, and I am looking forward to have a lively discussion in the classroom, and we'll again we'll come up with next set of videos for different topics as we make progress in the course. Thank you.